Everett School Committee. Let's start with a roll call. Mr. Celestine, please.
Ms. Lambert?
Present.
Ms. Murray?
Here.
Mr. Barrows?
Present. 3 members of the subcommittee are present. We do have a quorum on this evening's agenda. The student ex-officio representative for Mass General Law, Chapter 71, Section 38M. So I welcome everyone. We also have with us the principal of the Everett High School, Mr. Eric Norman, and the vice principal of the Everett High School, Mr. Corey McCarthy. And our special guests this evening. But with that, I'll turn over to Mrs. Lambert.
Thank you so much, Mr. Almeida Barrows, our chairman. So the purpose for meeting tonight is to really kick off. We had started this last year, the Student Advisory Committee, as well as having a student representative serve as an ex officio non-voting member of the school committee per the Mass General Law that Mr. Barrows just referenced. So this is a committee that consists of at least 5 elected advisory board members that will meet with the school committee on a regular basis throughout the year. But then also you will elect a chairperson who will serve as the student representative meeting with us for the next year. So that typically happens before June. So you would elect a chairperson who would then sit with us, be able to debate and participate with all of the agenda items that you see and really represent the advisory board. The advisory board will also be meeting with us regularly, but you're really the voice at the table. Mr. McCarthy was recently nominated the outreach coordinator. And so what that entails is just making sure that the advisory board members have the agenda so that you have the opportunity to not just reach out for yourself, but also solicit feedback from your peers and students at Everett High School. The purpose of this really is, and I've said this before, we don't have to give students a voice. They have a voice. What we need is to hear them. So you are their conduit, and we welcome and appreciate all of your feedback. So I don't know if we want to take a minute, and if everyone wants to introduce themselves, the advisory board.
I'll help you guys out. Andrew?
Hi, I'm Andrew. I'm in 11th grade, and I'm not sure what else there is to say.
That's perfect.
Jalen?
Hello, my name is Jalen. I'm 10th grade. Nice to meet you, everyone.
Excellent to meet you.
Brooklyn?
Hi, my name is Brooklyn and I'm a sophomore.
Jane?
Hi, everybody. My name's Jane. I'm a junior at Everett High. Okay, nice to meet everyone.
Dinah?
Hello, my name is Dinah Lewis, and I'm a sophomore at Everett High School, and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. We're excited to have you.
Excellent. So just as a background, the school committee accepted this statute of the Mass General Law back in 2019 after it was passed by the legislature. And during that time, under the direction of Mr. Barrett and Mr. Norman, we were making progress and having a rotating group of EHS students attending the regular meeting of the Everett School Committee as an ex officio member. Unfortunately, due to COVID, meetings moving remotely, and all this emergency because of the pandemic, that we actually had a pause on that. But this is an existing voice at the table, and that's what we want to bring it back and continue. Right, Ms. Lambert?
Exactly. And, so many of our policies and processes impact you. And in order to make the best decisions, we really do need you to think about the impact it will have, because we're not in school anymore. We were, but you know, the decisions we make, we want to make sure, you know, that there's nothing about us without us. So we're happy to have you on, and we look forward to hearing more and some of your ideas. And you'll also be able to participate in the creation of the agenda, the chairperson, if there is something that you want. And so we could talk about logistics when you nominate the chairperson that will be at the bi-weekly meetings.
Miss Murray, any question?
No, not really. I mean, I don't know. The kids seem fairly familiar with you guys. They're probably least familiar with me. Dana Murray. I live on Waverly Ave in Everett, and I teach at East Boston High School, and I've taught high school for a very long time. So Miss Lambert should speak for herself when she says not in schools, because I am in school. And I actually teach sophomores. So it's nice to see some 10th graders on here taking some civic responsibility. That's great. Yeah, East Boston High School, Yearlin.
Excellent. So perhaps, if I may, before we hear from the students, I think would be important to give a very brief background on the Everett School Committee, what we do, who we are, right? Sometimes we hear, oh, it's the school committee, but what's the role of the school committee? So I will just read quickly on, according to the law, the powers and duties of school committees across the state of Massachusetts, which is under Section 37 of the Massachusetts General Law. And it says that the school committee in each city and town and each regional school district shall have the power to select and to terminate the superintendent, shall review and approve budgets for public education in the district, and shall establish educational goals and policies for the schools in the district consistent with the requirements of the law and the statewide goals and the standards established by the Board of Education. So it's a group of 9 individuals elected, and that's our main role as a school committee. And you guys will be part of that table, as you are already, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, and bringing what Mrs. Lambert mentioned, the student voice, because you do have a voice and you need, we want you to participate and bring your concerns, your suggestions, and make, I should say, the 10 members of the Everett School Committee with having you and bring your voice to the table. So, Ms. Lambert.
I was just going to give some examples of things that fall under policy. One is the handbook. Another is we had a really robust discussion with our last student rep about if a student moves out of district mid-year, can they stay for the remainder of the year? You know, she had really interesting feedback about that. You know, so those are a few things that we have worked on in the past, and you know, we're certainly open to ideas, especially as we transition into, you know, from remote back into school, and then looking at a school year next year. I know Mr. McCarthy had an exciting announcement today. Some of the changes that we can do that is within the school committee power to do. I'm really excited to hear about, you know, what you feel would make for the best education and best preparation for your future.
And just also to give one example that happened in the past, as I mentioned, when we started in 2019, I believe Mr. Norman recall that the student representative, I believe she was Ashley, if I'm not mistaken, she brought an idea to the school committee regarding recycling at Everett High, how it was done, how it should be, and kind of an idea of a whole like recycling program for the Everett Public Schools, not only for Everett High. So that's something that happened in the past. Just give an example of something that happened in the past, which, you know, it is something that the school committee has the authority to implement a program like that. And it is something that the student in that time brought. So it's just like, you know, something that happened in the past that I want to bring to your attention. But it would be great to, Miss Murray.
I was just going to say the other thing is to not feel like there aren't things that you can bring to the table if you're not sure whether or not they're under our purview. Sometimes we won't know, and we'll have to check and see, because sometimes things are beyond us, right? The state says you have to do X, or the federal government says you have to do Y, and then we get stuck. But if you don't ask, we can't ask, because we won't know to do it. So, you know, you never have to be nervous about bringing a possibility forward and saying, hey, is this something that's appropriate for conversation? And even if that conversation is, there isn't really a way for us to move on this on the local level for this reason, and this reason, at least you'll know that, and you'll be able to bring that back to your classmates, and you'll be able to share information with the other kids at your school about the fact that your voices are being heard. And even if we aren't in a position of power to make a change that you want to see, that we do recognize that you do want to see it, and that we'll keep an eye out for ways to do things like that. So, you know, I always tell my own students that I can't say yes unless you ask me. And the worst I can say is no.
I also wanted to recognize the chair of our school committee, Mr. Parker, who has just joined us. Hello, Mr. Parker.
Well, Mr. Barrows, good evening, everybody. I just want to jump on real quick and say hi. I have a meeting at 6:30, but if I could just a couple of statements, if I can make them, please.
Please, go ahead.
So I already shared this with Mr. Norman and Mr. McCarthy, and this goes out to the advisory council. Everett's late in the party with the student rep. It's only now, it's been a year. And, but other surrounding communities, and I used examples such as Revere, Chelsea, Somerville, have had a student rep for a while now. So my suggestion, as I related to these gentlemen, is go out and find out who are your counterparts in these other communities. Talk to them, ask them what works, what doesn't work, and, you know, and really get an opportunity to build this seat from scratch, the right way, the most productive way. One thing I noticed on their calendar is they actually have report of the student rep. If that's something you deem that's productive, that's an easy change that we can make in our rules. So simply talk to your peers, and you know, and we look forward to work with you. And if you don't mind, I'm all done.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Ms. Murray.
I just wanted to add to Mr. Parker's list of student representatives that the student representative for Boston Public Schools is absolutely amazing. The Boston Public Schools school committee meetings can be very, very long and boring, but you can Google that kid, and unbelievable kid, unbelievable. So I would definitely encourage you, while you're looking up your immediate area peers, to also look at Kamari.
Thank you. Now it would be great to hear from you guys, which is the main reason that we are here. Also our educators, if Mr. Norman, Mr. McCarthy would like to add or anything, or have any questions or any suggestions, but it'd be great to hear from all of you this evening.
I'll just add quickly that I know we have a great group of students. I know Dinah is looking to add some information to the conversation. She's been excited about this for a while, and all the other students are very excited. Mr. McCarthy and myself, we're excited to keep this going. Thank you to Mr. Parker and all the members of the school committee for continuing this. We look forward to what the students have to say.
I will definitely echo that. I think right now they're sort of trying to process the amount, the charge that they have right now. I would encourage them, and I'm going to continue to encourage them when we're not in these meetings to sort of like seek out their peers in the building, survey how people are feeling, what people are thinking, what subgroups we could support that we are missing, what areas we could always improve on to improve the quality of their lives while we have them here at Everett High School.
Great. Do you guys have any question? Andrew, you have this great light on the background there.
Thank you. I'd say the only thing I really have to say is it's not hard to look around and hear that people have problems and that people have things to say. Even if you don't ask, people are going to say something, which isn't a problem because being a student, being on the ground, quote unquote, we can definitely hear what everyone wants to say. And I agree with them on a lot of things. There are things that need to be solved, things that need to be brought up. And right now, I'd say we're in the infant stages of this and finding out exactly what we need to tackle and what is the priority. And we'll find that out in time to come.
Looking forward to it, Andrew. Anybody else?
Yeah, Dinah has her hand raised.
Diana.
Okay, so I know like some things have changed and the state is making like some changes, but I just wanted to like bring up this idea now. So like currently we're working on our hybrid model, but I'm not sure if that is still in check, maybe. No.
So we were, but the state just announced, I believe in the last 48 hours, that we might have to make change. Actually, we will have to make change. And we are in the process of working on that, see what the state is giving all the districts in order to implement. I believe Ms. Lambert has one more thing to add.
It didn't impact high school. So we are actually pulling from, based on the last information we got, we're still planning, but pausing as well until, because we don't want what just happened to happen where we put all these great plans in place and then the state comes and says, well, you have to do this instead. So because their guidance or directive actually did not cover the high school, so it's kind of in a pause. But those plans are, if you check out the e-education link on the Everett Public Schools website, you could see a framework, and that's what we've been working on.
Okay, so basically, since we were working on that, like I came up with some ideas since, originally we had choices as students whether or not we wanted to go in the building or whether or not we wanted to stay at home. So I still thought like about it, like after the decision and some things that I've been hearing, and I still thought like some of these things could still be like used, like when we're in the building. So basically like the main thing about it is that, students are kind of confused at like where to get help. You know what I mean? Like help is available to us, but it's very hard for us to really access it, because not all students are like, like, let's just say you need help, like you need to be able to know how to like fish for help to get help. Like it's not really accessible for us. So I think like there are resources that we can put in place like to help us improve that. So right now I'm currently a dual enrollment student at Bunker Hill Community College, and it's currently my second semester, and I've seen like some things that they did with the remote model that I've seen like improvement as myself as a student. And basically they have like these virtual like teams that helps out students. So for example, like they have like this A team, which helps out students with technology. So let's just say like for our situation, let's just say someone has a problem with X2, you know, they are able to attend this station to, you know, to get help with that, or with Clever, or with any of the apps that we have that students may have difficulty with, you know. I know like we have the form and everything, but personally, I don't know like how that's going on, like if that's making progress. But like I said, you know, like some of my teachers personally, they leave it on Google Classroom or they share it with us sometimes. But I feel like, you know, as students, like if something is not really presented fully to us, we're just gonna, out of laziness, we're just not gonna do it, you know what I mean? So next, like I just kind of came up with some, I guess, pros and cons of it. So teachers would be more at ease and there's a balance and control, you know, because I feel like teachers in general or staff in general just get like hundreds and thousands of emails each and every day. And let's just say like a student has a tech issue, you know, they may not be able to help out that student right away that is in need. So instead, you know, the student may just sit there and fail because, you know, the help is not really fully accessible. Like the person can't really, you know, it's just how the student mindset works. At least that's how I see it. So this allows us to, you know, improve as a school and, you know, basically make teachers' lives easier, and they're able to give us the proper resource to, you know, access the help that we need. And also, I was thinking of, you know, how like there's teachers who have medical issues, for example. So like, you know, I was also thinking, well, how are we gonna get, you know, people who are gonna participate on these like certain teams or stuff like that. So, you know, maybe this could open, I don't know, like a volunteer opportunity or a job opportunity for them to still be able to work. You know, like let's just say someone has more experience in this certain area or this certain app, then they're able to assist. And then, so I was considering like maybe, you know, since it's, you know, how Bunker Hill is a college and, you know, we're high school students, so maybe we won't be able to, you know, handle the availability to just like get into a place. I don't know, like maybe high school students might not be like responsible enough to be able to just enter like a space like without permission or something. So I just figured out maybe like there could be a requirement to set up appointments or have a form where there are a place to set up appointments and they could be available during school hours, you know, like not just for staff, not just for students, but for staff too, like because some staff doesn't, maybe a teacher might not know exactly how to help a student, like what's going on with this or what's going on with that. And, you know, we do have like pod teachers to do this job, but like not all pod teachers are just teachers. Some pod teachers may be counselors, some pod teachers may be, I don't know, deans or teachers themselves. So this can be overwhelming. And, you know, like I said, like we might not be able to get the full help that we need. And some other final like teams that I kind of like started thinking about is like translation labs, you know, like for non-English speakers where, you know, maybe they might not have no idea what's going on, or I don't know, you know, like this could be a lab for them, you know, or a nursing lab, you know, students could get resources for COVID testing sites. I don't know, maybe like a library lab, you know, open to, you know, readers or ELA teachers, so they're able to reach out or something. I don't know, like a station that supports students with disorders or people who have hard time focusing, you know, strategies, stuff like that. And yeah, so how this could be set up is putting them on announcements, having these available Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 2:30 or something like that. But yeah, pretty much that's it.
Well, this is terrific. And that's exactly what we are talking about. We not only welcome those ideas, but we want those ideas. And you know, coming from you, it's like that's the voice that we are talking about, right? Of having the school committee. I can see Mr. Norman, Mr. McCarthy already like shake their heads. Yes, send us this, Mr. Norman.
Yeah, so Dinah, we spoke a little bit about this before because she was nervous about coming on. I'm sorry, Dinah, if I'm letting everyone that you were nervous. And she wants to make effective change as well as the other students on this call, right? And when she presented it to me, I was like, you know what? That's a wonderful idea. And if you want to offer that up during the first meeting, I think that would be great. So just so I can clarify a little bit, Dinah's looking for people that are remote to be able to log on at any time of the day to get help from someone, right? Is that correct, Dinah, with a head nod or?
Yeah, so basically, like if I have an issue with an app or I just need help instantly, like, maybe I'm not able to send an email, but I'm able to go into a virtual room to get immediate help, if that makes sense.
Perfect. So wonderful ideas from our students. And it's just amazing how caring that Dinah is for her fellow students and for the staff members to make things better for everyone. So I really appreciate that. Dinah, I don't want to speak for Mr. McCarthy, but I know he appreciates it. So thank you so much. I really, I'm excited about this, and I'm excited that you are excited about being here and making effective change.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Norman. Dinah, we want those ideas, and I'm sure we need those ideas. So that's the place to bring not only this meeting, but bringing that to the administration or to your principals, to the superintendent, but also to a school committee meeting. That could be an item on the agenda of a school committee meeting where you can present that to the whole board and to the public, and we can, make that. Send that to the superintendent for implementation on how possible it is and what is possible to do, what might not be possible to do, but there are things that we can do it, there are things that we cannot do it, but we need those ideas on the table in order to implement these things. So I really, really, really appreciate you bring those this evening. Ms. Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm sorry, Andrew, we'll get right to you. I just wanted to respond to Dinah. These are things so there are so many things that with remote learning that we can keep even when we go back, and these are the things that what's impacted you and your peers the best. And that resource center, I love it because I've heard from so many graduates that don't know how to ask for help. College is a whole different level, right? So they have office hours, and here, if you stay after school, you're either really cool with the teacher or you're in trouble. And it's not targeted. So I love that idea. And I think that's something we can even bring into when we're normal, and not remote. And thank you for not just pointing out, some drawbacks, but you really thought out solutions. And you've got me thinking of more. So, and that's how it works. So I really appreciate you. And I really appreciate that you thought that through. That was wonderful.
I believe Andrew was going to say something, Andrew.
What I wanted to say was I wholeheartedly agree with, I'm sorry, it looks like my camera froze. I wholeheartedly agree with Dinah. Personally, I have a lot of problems sitting in a chair all day. I have problems with attention and it's hard to learn personally. And I share that sentiment with a lot of other students at the school. I am friends with a lot of them who just can't sit still, and to have that outreach center, that support, that ability to ask for help would be amazing. Because of course we're surrounded with we have the best guidance counselors, and we do. They're phenomenal. I love them. Actually, I had just talked about this today with another panel of students and teachers on the Tide Talk podcast, where we talked about what it would be like going back to school and what we would keep, what we'd want to keep, and how we feel about the whole thing. And the consensus from everyone there is that everyone's stressed and we need that outlet. We need help. We need help, but we're afraid to ask for help. We are a breed of people that are afraid of failing, and failing would be to ask for help. But that's just not the truth. Once we have that constant reminder of, hey, listen, if you need help, just ask. That's really what we need. It can be a lot of things: tutoring, tech support, anything from a third party, or even if it's parents or teachers that aren't even scheduled for a class, to just get in a room with them to ask for help would be amazing. For example, in the beginning of the year, when the schedules were messed up, it was the best thing to just be able to email a guidance counselor, and within the hour, they'd say, join my Zoom room, and we're going to talk about this face-to-face. Because I'm sure I speak on behalf of anyone who's had to have a conversation over an email. It is not nice. It's not good. It's waiting for 5 minutes for a response just to clarify that you misspoke or to over some miscommunication. Having that face-to-face over a genuine problem that will affect the rest of your year, or your ability to learn, or your ability to teach, we just need some sort of support. And I think going on, my biggest concerns are how students and teachers alike can get support, give support, and overall just make remote learning and the possible hybrid learning aspect of our lives just slightly easier, because that's our job here, just to make people's lives slightly easier. And yeah, that's really all.
Absolutely. You guys can see how excited we are, and can't wait to have you in that meeting, presenting to the whole board and bring your ideas, your suggestions, and so we can implement many of these things. Miss Murray.
I just wanted to add to what Andrew was saying, because in my experience, there are things that I will type out in paragraphs to explain something to a kid that I could show them if I could screen share in 3 seconds. And there are times when kids try to explain something to me in paragraphs that if they could just show it to me, I would understand immediately what they meant. And so now I personally hold office hours every day for an hour. And it's been a huge boon to both me and the kids, because I've had kids come on and say, Miss, when you screen share, if you turn off your camera when you are having internet instability, everything will be a little bit more stable, and it won't matter anyway because nobody's looking at your face while you're screen sharing, they're looking at your screen. And that's something that I wouldn't have necessarily known, because I'm the one sharing my screen. So I don't know that what they're seeing is getting interference. Or they'll say, Miss, in such and such assignment, this link is dead. It's bringing me to some weird place. And I'm like, oh, I don't know how to fix that. Sure enough, someone in my classes knows, because frankly, sometimes my students are far more tech savvy than I am. And so, I think that give and take relationship is super important. But like Andrew said, I think it's done much more fluidly and much easier as humans, face to face and verbally, than in writing. I think it's very hard to be clear in writing with what you need and what you want.
Ms. McCarthy.
I appreciate the student feedback. That's why we're here. And I'm encouraging Mr. Nomway until we get put some action behind. You always want, when you're young and you have a seat at the table, always make sure you hold people accountable to their action, not always their words. So for me, can you guys still hear me? For me,
I think we're losing a little bit, Mr. McCarthy. I believe.
Did you hear me?
Now, yes.
Oh, okay. So earlier in the year, I did have office hours, and in those office hours, we were able to direct folks to places to get help, even as the year went on, I pulled back from the office hours. So this is only reaffirming that we need to get back on office hours so we can start redirecting. Although we still meet with students, I've met with a couple of students who are on here already. Although those things are still happening, structuring those times and having concrete times is super helpful, rather than the email, hey, Mr. McCarthy's available then, or so available then, or like, and it also cuts back on the meetings on the weekends that we have, right? So instead of waiting for some further meeting or some other committee or something, I think that's something that could be something that we could fix right away.
The other thing is that, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Murray.
The other thing is we use our office hours to do things like parents. So all of my Zooms are set up so that you can't log into my Zoom unless you have a school email, except my office hours. And I set that up differently because I wanted parents to be able to join the office hours. So I have a waiting room, and if I'm not sure who someone is, I may not let them in until they tell me who they are, which you can message everybody in your waiting room when you're the host of a meeting anyway. But I've used my office hours to get parents mental health help for their students, refer them to food banks. So it doesn't even have to be specifically a school-related issue. It can be a community-related issue too, because the truth is schools are our community, right? They're the heart of everything. So, my guidance team put together sort of a quick list of, if you have kids who need food, have them contact so-and-so. If you have kids who need this, jackets, winter jackets, have them contact so-and-so. And it was just sort of a quick reference guide, and it worked out really well for us. And the other thing about having set office hours is I have kids pop in on my office hours that I know for a fact would never, ever write to set up an appointment. But just the fact that they know I'm going to be there and they can casually drop in, even if it's just to chat about how much their 8th grade brother is driving them completely up a wall, they do it. But they're not going to send me an email saying, Miss, I need to vent about my 8th grade brother who is driving me up a wall. So, I happen to not be doing anything during that time. That kid needed an outlet. I was an outlet. It all works out, So I think that there's a lot to be said for these kinds of relationships. And Dinah, I think you're right on with having sort of using the schools as sort of the heart of the community.
Community engagement is crucial. So I know that we have all the students present. Do they want to add anything to what Andrew and Dinah brought to us, or folks might be a little shy, or Andrew and Dinah spoke for them, which is terrific. So with that, Ms. Lambert, where do we go next?
So next steps is either myself or the chairman, Mr. Barrows, will reach out to Mr. McCarthy with, so just for the agenda, we'll be able to send the agenda because we do have one coming up this Monday, March 1st, and we'll have the information. In the meantime, if you have questions, I'll include our email addresses as well so that it can be distributed to you all. I know if you have any questions, I'll share the structure of the committee, the chairman, the vice chairman, and then what the subcommittees are, because each subcommittee, just like this, is a subcommittee of the full body and what they're working on. And then as well as the process. So if you wanted to add, I'll introduce Ms. Celestine as well. So she keeps us all in line and keeps our meetings running smooth and has those agendas out. So that will really be the next steps. And then, part of that conversation, I'll also include just some brief information about, because you'll find, and this was, to me at least, one of the most challenging parts of participating in my first meeting was understanding this whole make a motion, being recognized by the chair. So that's Robert's Rules of Order. So it's just kind of a cheat sheet, just so you understand and you feel empowered to be able to jump in and participate, because I don't want that to be a barrier. But please don't hesitate during the meeting to ask why something is happening the way it is, because sometimes it's not exactly, it's a little archaic in the way we speak, you know, make a motion, second a motion, if it passes, if you reconsider. So it's a little bit to get used to. So I'll send you a little cheat sheet as well. And then any questions on that, we're here for you.
And you can also put us in line if anyone is going off the road. You're like, wait a minute, are you a bunch of adults here or what? So it would be great that to have that as well. Any other question before we entertain a motion to finish our meeting? Nope. Well, I just want to thank so much all of you for being here this evening. Mr. McCarthy, Mr. Norman, for all the work that you do at the high school, and especially you guys who join us and will be meeting with us, and will be joining school committee meetings with us, and will be, raise your voice and bring your ideas. We are looking forward to have you and to continue this conversation and implementing a lot of these ideas and suggestions that you have. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn and a second. Can we please have a roll call, Ms. Celestine?
Ms. Lambert,
Yes.
Ms. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Barros.
Yes. A motion to adjourn. We have adjourned, and thank you so much, all of you, and thank you those who are at home watching us as well this evening. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, guys. Thank you for coming.
Bye.
Being so awesome. You're
We'll see you soon.
amazing.
Thank you, guys. Thanks a million.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Was because it passed it. Is the budget of the current superintendent